How to make a crown out of fondant. If you're new to cake decorating, definitely save this tutorial because you will be asked to make a crown at some point. Roll some yellow fondant about 1/4 inch thick and then shape it into a large wide triangle. Check to make sure the fondant is thick enough so the crown stands up and it's the right size for your cake. For the decoration, I found these Baroque style molds from Amazon. You can find lots of different types of crown molds. Press a piece of fondant into the mold, use a rolling pin to flatten it out, and then take a smooth-sided knife and gently scrape off the excess, holding it almost completely sideways to the mold. After you've trimmed off the excess, make sure the fondant is fully inside the mold and then fold the mold away from the fondant and very gently peel the piece of fondant out. Then begin placing the decorations on the larger piece of fondant wherever you would like them to go. I'm starting with this larger piece in the middle and adding 2 smaller pieces on the sides. Some molds have the entire shape of a crown, but I'm using one that has lots of different pieces so I can design the crown myself. And for this very delicate piece, I'm going to use some cornstarch and put it on my finger so that I can press it into the mold without it sticking to my finger, and then very carefully trimming off the excess because the fondant is trying to come out of the mold, so I push it back into place, and once again bending the mold away from the piece of fondant so that I can pull it out with my other hand. When you have the decorations where you want them, you can trim off the extra pieces of the crown. You don't have to do this though, you could always leave it as a triangle, and then I like to use edible adhesive to glue down all the different pieces, and I'm trying not to move them too much as I'm doing this, just kind of shifting them around and putting a very thin layer of adhesive underneath each piece. And one last detail I like to add is curling up the ends of the crown, which makes it look a little extra polished and fancy. Then I lift up the whole crown and using my silicone mat as a guide, I shape it into a circle. I set the crown on a baking rack so that it can harden overnight, and the next day I'm ready to start painting. I have some gold luster dust I'm adding to a clear vanilla extract, and I like to use a gold luster dust mixed with extract instead of a gold edible paint because it's a lot thinner and it dries more quickly, whereas the gold paint can sometimes make your fondant a little bit sticky and gooey. And I should also mention we're using a yellow fondant because it makes it much easier to achieve a gold color. At this point your crown could be done, but I'm also going to add some edible isomalt gemstones as well as the birthday girl's age in the middle of the crown. And again, I'm using edible adhesive to stick everything in place, pressing one gemstone into the top middle, and then I'm going to space them out symmetrically on each side. And now our crown is all done. I hope you enjoyed this fondant crown tutorial. Follow for more.